Welcome back, guys, to the Bacon Decker Podcast. This is episode number 4. Today we're going to be talking about relationships.
And also just our weekly update of what we've been doing this week. You guys have really enjoyed the story of us, the last 3 episodes, and we've heard your criticisms and your comments on what we should change and whatnot. So we realized that the first 3 were very long, but we're also trying to condense our life into 3 to 4 hours worth of footage. So it was really hard for us to explain a lot of things and touch base on a lot of things. We left a lot out, but we definitely had some really good feedback as far as the story of us. And continuing on, we want to do kind of like our weekly, bi-weekly update, however these go up, but like what we've been into most recently going forward, and then also certain topics. So yeah, so what'd you do this week? How's your week been?
Let's see. I mean, just work. My girlfriend is currently on vacation, so...
Where'd she go?
She went to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Down around Charleston.
Nice.
But it's been a pretty interesting week, just sitting there by myself, not doing much other than coming home from
Having
work.
some freedom.
Yeah, just kind of chilling. But...
well, for me this week, work-wise, I started a new route. I'm actually in Glasgow now instead of Bowling Green, working for Clark Distribution. Love the route. It's a lot easier than Bowling Green route, just for many different reasons. It's a little bit more difficult to drive in the mornings. Just I'm not a morning person, so getting up at 3 o'clock to get to Glasgow at 4:30 in the morning is rough for me. Yeah, it's just getting used to it. But I do like the route a lot, and I think it's a better option for me, career-wise, as far as just chilling there and getting paid and going in, going home, and leaving work at work. Mm-hmm. So it's been really nice. Gabby has been working this week. She's been working on and off weekly at the bank because there's 4 tellers, just 2 window spots. So I think I mentioned that in the last video that she was. So this week she's at work, and then I think June or the 15th. I think is when they go back to lobbies open. So people, everybody will be in there, but then they'll be required to wear masks as well, she said. So
yeah, I mean, everybody or everywhere is still requiring, either masks should be worn or, masks are suggested to be worn, or, so the COVID thing still hasn't gone away.
No, for sure. And I don't think it will for a long time as far as overall. Like, there's going to be regulations that change for permanently, I think, between people and how you exchange words and your proximity to other people in stores, which will be interesting to see how the world changes. It already is how like everything has shifted so far. We actually went to IHOP yesterday on my day off. I had to get my car worked on, had a tire sensor go out.
Yeah.
And after it took like 30-45 minutes to get the tire sensor change. So we went to IHOP. Like in person. That was the first time we've been to a restaurant since everything opened back up. And it was crazy because they have one table open, one table closed, one table open, or the booths. And then the tables, they have spaced out like 6 feet at least.
Yeah.
And then when they bring you your food and your menus, they're all disposable menus, so you don't like reuse menus.
Right.
And then the syrup and the butter, salt, pepper, ketchup is all in the packets. Yeah, she brings a tray out. The waiter brings a tray out with all the condiments and all the stuff you're going to need, and then if you need more, they just bring you more of those, which is it's crazy. So the whole table's cleared off. There's nothing on the table whatsoever that could be touched by somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's fully sanitized, and it's, like I said, it's just nuts to see the world change so much.
Oh, yeah. When everything opened up the first time, the restaurant-wise, me and Krista went out that night, to...
Oh, y'all went the first day?
Yeah, we went to Elmas. Luckily, we got there right before the dinner rush, because... so we sat outside on the patio, and everything's still, like you were saying, there's one table that's open and one table that's closed. And it was like that outside, too. And, we're sitting there and we're like, maybe, not everybody's going to come out tonight. Like, maybe we,
Yeah.
Because we were thinking everybody would, but then, surely enough, it was, like, really, calm and stuff. So we're sitting there eating, and all of a sudden, just all these cars show up, and they start coming in.
I think there was 3 groups of people in IHOP when we went, so it was not busy at all. And this was, I want to say, 8:30 in the morning, or no, about 8:45 in the morning. So breakfast time, people going out for breakfast. There's just not, which a lot of people that go to breakfast in the mornings mainly older people. At least when I've gone to breakfast, you see a lot of older people, couples go out for breakfast. So maybe they're staying in. They're not risking it, which is
older
perfectly
people
understandable. Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's just very neat to see the world shift and change.
Another thing I did this week, right, or this weekend anyway, was I bought a couch and love seat.
Ooh.
And that was a big purchase for me, okay? Because
big boy purchase.
Yeah, that was a big adult purchase, with a lot of big adult money.
Yeah. But where'd you go?
So I went down to American Freight,
Mm.
and I got. It's not like leather, but it's kind of like that material almost, like fake leather, I guess, whatever
Gotcha.
whatever it's called. But they're black, and the couch and the love seat both recline, so it's awesome. I mean, and for it to, be my first new thing. Like I've never owned a new car or new furniture before, so having a new couch and love seat out of the
It's
box.
a little
that
thing.
was cool.
I think a lot of people don't realize becoming an adult. We mentioned the story up until now. Some of my best moments are just the smallest things we got.
Yeah.
We had the wedding shower, of course, here recently. And getting new dishware, and we got a mixer and a ton of other stuff that I'm just blanking out right now. But getting all that stuff is really neat. So you go in your kitchen, you're like, well, we need to take this out and put this in, and switch the older stuff out with the newer stuff. Or if we didn't have anything at all, we got some stuff from the wedding shower that I never thought I would own, like the mixer and stuff that we got. It's like a huge mixer, and I never thought I would own something like that. And it's cool how it works. I remember getting the air fryer for the first time when they were big, and I use the air fryer pretty much every other night.
That thing
probably.
is incredible.
Yeah,
I love that thing.
as far as potatoes or anything like that, it's wonderful. Just to throw them in there instead of having to heat them up in the oven, which heats up the whole house.
Yeah, and then it's also heating it up in the oven wastes a lot more electricity than throwing it in the air fryer.
Yeah.
And it's way healthier to have it in the air fryer. So.
Yeah, and Gabby and I all the time we'll go shopping, or we'll walk around a place and we'll buy just something for the house. I think a lot of people really enjoy just buying something small. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be a new lamp, or it could be a new picture frame, or something that you want to add to the house. And that to me is what I enjoy doing as an adult, just making something of my own.
Yeah.
So the house and vehicles, I've owned nice vehicles, I've owned bad vehicles. And my car is my pride and joy, as far as I'm just proud of my car, and no matter what it is, either the bad ones I was still proud of because it was mine.
It's yours.
Yeah, you drive it off the lot, you bring it home, you clean it up, you take care of it, and you just make it yours. So that's just one of the best things about being an adult, for sure.
Yeah.
As many negatives, that's definitely one of the best positives. Is just building yourself up.
I remember even, the first time you buy a car, that's with your own money, you just right up in there, you're just that's pride.
Yeah. Now, my first vehicle was a 99 Yukon. I did not buy it with my own money. I had started working, but I did not have the money up front. It was a family vehicle that had been sitting for a year. It was in good condition, but it wasn't that take-home feeling. But then I went from a 99 Yukon to a 2016 Challenger.
Yeah.
That was the trade. Because of that store manager switch, when I went from being just a full-time employee to store manager, the money I was bringing home, I was just wasting. So I put it into a car payment and car insurance. And being the young 19, 20-year-old wanting something new, I bought it in October. My birthday's in December. So I was thinking to myself, this is my present to myself for getting this milestone and being successful and putting my mind towards something, and also just put my money towards something worth it instead of just throwing it away every week. So that was the experience, getting in the car for the first time and seeing the layout of the car, the leather, the new car smell. And he's like, oh, you want to take it for a spin? And here I am thinking 19, 20-year-olds, I'm driving a Challenger. It was a V6. It wasn't very
there wasn't that much torque in it.
But the cosmetics of it, just how nice it felt sitting in it and riding in it. A 99 Yukon, the air condition is terrible in it. I'm a big guy. I burned up all the time in it. So by the time I got to work, the AC has gotten pretty good by the time I get to work, just for me to get out and go back and go to the store. In the Challenger, of course, as soon as you get in it, it's just pumping cold air, and it's small enough. And so those were things I noticed. And like I said, the feel of the car, and then taking it home. I bought it in Antioch, Tennessee, which is on the outside of Nashville. So I had to drive it all through Nashville, my first ride, and then all the way home to Bowling Green.
Yeah.
My brother was with me, so he was trying to turn on the music and change the station. As I was like, you can turn the radio on when we get out of Nashville, because like I'm in a brand new car. You can't see very well out of the Challenger, of course. The windows are small, the mirrors are small, and there's no way to see behind you because it's a wide car. So I was like, oh, we're not listening to anything. You know how there's the memes where you're like, I got to turn down the radio to see? Yeah, and that was exactly what I did. At 19, I was still panicking. I was like, no, I don't want to wreck this car, which I still knew driving. I mean, I'd had the Yukon, I think, for about a year before I switched to the Challenger, so I was still very inexperienced driving.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll jump into today's topic.
Yeah, relationships.
All right.
So let's hop into relationships. Right off the bat, I want to say something about past relationships. Obviously, they're in the past for a reason. I don't want to spend a lot of time on past relationships just because the one thing I honestly stick by is it didn't work out for a reason.
Yeah.
There's always both sides of the story. There's always going to be a bad guy. There's always going to be a bad person on both sides. Like, they're both going to view it differently. So if I could take anything from what I know now, is like I wish I just hadn't wasted so much time grieving over them. As far as like, just it didn't work out, move on.
Yeah.
Be happy for yourself. And it took me so long to be happy for myself, to find happiness on my own, like wake up and have a purpose to keep going for myself. And it took way longer than it should have. And it's different for everybody. Some people can move on, no big deal, like it didn't mean anything. And then there's some people that put their entire 100% into something, and when it doesn't work out, I mean, it just cripples you. Like it's unexpected. So you wake up without that same reason to wake up every day, and and your mind changes a lot. So that's really, as far as past relationships, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
As far as
so, and it goes along the lines of what you're saying. But my advice, I guess our younger listeners, is never go back to your ex. All right, I made that mistake in the past, and it just doesn't work. You know, like you guys broke up for a reason. You know, there's plenty of other fish in the sea, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna find somebody else. There's 7.5 billion people in the world. You're gonna find somebody else. You know, like I don't know how else to put it. You know, because when you go back to that person after being broke up for so long, and you're like, oh, you know, things are going to be not only like they were, but they're going to be better, and they're, you know, and it's never the same, you know, like you have that kind of insecurity, but not, you know, like you're wanting to make it better, but at the same time you can't forget what they did to you, and vice versa. So my advice is just stay away from your ex, you know, and if they try to hit you up, you know, like you guys broke up and been broke up for a while, you know, like it's different if you guys got in a fight and you said you broke up but you're not, you know, but if, you know, you've been broke up for a good while, you know, and all of a sudden they hit you up and they're like, hey, you know, I miss you or this and that, don't do that, you know, stay away from that, okay? Don't even reply to it. You know, like a lot of people keep like their ex's number in their phones or something, and it's like, dude, delete that crap, leave it alone, block that number. You know?
That's just to say, block it. Like, just block it.
It's going to cause you emotional trauma because, you know, getting back with your ex, it may work for a little bit or it may not work at all, and you don't want to put yourself through that emotional turmoil. So,
one thing is, if it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out for a reason. And so, and that was, like I said, finding happiness for myself led me to finding my fiance as of now, Gabby. She's wonderful. She has supported me through everything I've done since we've been together. She's always been there for me. I'm not trying to sound sappy, but it's just, in general, when you find the person that you're meant to be with, you realize it. Yeah. There's something different about it. It clicked automatically for both of us. Our first date, we met online through a dating website, or I guess a hookup website is more or less what it's meant for. Tinder. We met on Tinder. Like most people have horror stories of Tinder. I have horror stories of Tinder. And she was the last person I matched with before I deleted the app. Mm-hmm. I said to myself, when this was right at the trip to Chicago with my dad and my stepmom, and going there, we talked the entire time I was in Chicago through Snapchat and Tinder, and just kind of kept conversations going. And then the Monday after was our first date. Our first date, we went to Colton's in Glasgow. She lived in Glasgow at the time. I lived in Bowling Green. So I drove to Glasgow. We met at Colton's. We talked for 3 hours in the restaurant at the table. We couldn't stop talking. Like, both of us were very nervous right off the bat. We kind of both dreaded it when we were driving there. We've talked about it since. We were just like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. Don't want to go through it. What if he's crazy? What if she's crazy? Like, we both had the same thoughts, a lot of the same thought process. And so we got there, and we clicked. We talked for 3 hours in the restaurant. We realized they're sweeping the floors and realized that they're closing.
It's time to go home.
Yeah, so we leave the restaurant, and we stand outside. I sweat a lot. I burn up a lot. This is back when I still had the 60 pounds working at Save A Lot. Mm-hmm. And I had heavy polo on and jeans. So it was September, but in September, or is October. Yeah. I don't remember the date, to be honest with you. She's going to kill me for it. But I was sweating to death outside while we were talking. But we talked for another hour in the parking lot. And thank God we did, because I actually left my card in the restaurant. So all of a sudden we see the waiter come out, and he flags us down. I was like, yeah, what's up? He's like, oh, you left your card in the pamphlet or whatever.
Yeah, the thing.
And I was like, oh my goodness, I've never done that before. And from there on, we just, we're here now. We're engaged now. So that was the first date, and I realized driving home that night that when you know, you know. Mm-hmm. So I was happy with myself, and here I am, ready to set out on this goal of just doing what I wanted to do and be happy on my own. And I realized that being happy was being happy with her. Like, driving home, I smiled the whole way home. It went great. Like, I have no complaints over the first date. And from then on, it was just one date after the other.
Yeah. Mine is a little different story. So, me and Krista, we started talking on Snapchat. And the reason we started talking on Snapchat is because when my mother and my father, my stepmother and my father, they split up, well, she moved into an apartment where she had to have a roommate, and that roommate happened to be Krista. Well, Krista just was about to graduate college when my mom moved in there, and so my sisters, they would go over there and spend time with my mom, and then they got to know Krista. And one day Audrey was trying to get a hold of me, but of course her phone doesn't have internet at the time, so she has to use Krista's phone, and she gets my Snapchat and all that. And so Audrey started messaging me on Snapchat, and this is like March of...
You were still
April.
in the...
Yeah, I was still in the Marines. I was over in Okinawa still. I was getting ready to get out, but
Did they know that? Did they know you were getting out?
Not
At
yet.
that
I
point?
didn't.
No.
All right, so in April when we started talking, I didn't know. But in May, the next month, that's when I found out I was going to get out, and I told everybody. I'm getting out. Yeah. But yeah, so we started talking. I guess April of last year, huh? It feels like I've been out a lot longer. But anyway, so we started talking back and forth. But I found out later after we started dating, there was no interest in me, as anything more than a friend.
Oh, gotcha.
And and of course at first it was the same with me, but as we kept talking and talking, because we talked almost every day.
Of course, you being in the military, you probably had that aspect of you were ready to get out and find a relationship.
Well, it wasn't even necessarily I was looking for a relationship. It was I just wanted people to talk to at home, of course I have you. Right. But if you're at work, I don't have anybody else to hang out with.
I mean, I'm sure you were looking for the affectionate side of things too, which you're not going to find in me. Yeah.
But I haven't been in a relationship in 2.5, 3 years.
Which is smart, as far as just waiting.
I mean, because after that thing with my ex that I briefly mentioned earlier, I kind of wanted to step away from the relationship stuff and focus on work. and I got really good at my job because of that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of it, it was, there was a lack of companionship. And, if you look at, psychology and, like, I think it's Eric Erickson, maybe that's the psychologist, but at this certain age, you start focusing on romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, at this point I'm getting out and I'm like, well, I kind of want to spend some time
I remember
in a romantic relationship.
I remember when you would message me and stuff, you would just be like, I'm just ready. I feel like I've missed so much time.
Yeah, I
remember
like I
you
missed
talking
everything.
about it a lot.
Like I felt like, I missed out on the college life, which is really just like the barracks life,
Mm-hmm.
or at least that's what I've been told. But, and then just missed out on like being, a free adult, because in the military, you're allowed to do stuff, but you're under so much restrictions, it's just too much. But, so after a while, me and Krista kept talking, and I got interested in her.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew I was interested in her, but it was, like, I guess she friend zoned me or something, if that's what you want to call it. So, it was kind of like, I knew that she had friend zoned me, but at the same time it was like, well, I'm not going to be friend zoned, so I'm either, this is going to develop into something, or like, I don't need a friend that's a girl. I already have enough of them, Like, I don't need another friend that's a girl, or, So, anyway, fast forward to me getting out, and, I move in with you, and so I'm going out during
for a
the
short
day.
brief time. And
Yeah,
then,
for a couple.
and then it was we didn't see you anymore.
Yeah, because I was always over there.
Yeah.
But
and I think with any relationship, you realize any person that makes a relationship last long realizes that you have to put 100% into that. I remember I just stopped doing anything else. Like, it was 100% relationship, and then once you build a connection, you can kind of branch out and do different things. You get to a point where you're like, all right, well, I want to hang out with my friends, and the other person's like, yeah, I'd like to do that too. So they both kind of realize at the same time, like, you need time apart for the time together.
Yeah.
Like, you have to balance.
And it's like, you gotta build a sturdy foundation of like, I really do care about you, and so I'm not trying to avoid you, but I do want to go hang out with my friends.
Back to what you were saying though, you moved in with me, and then
yeah. So moved in with you, and I was go out to karaoke night, and with my mom, which sounds kind of sad.
I did the same thing. Like, when I hit 21, I went to Betty's, which is a bar here in town, with my mom, and at the time her boyfriend. We went, and they drove, so I could get completely blasted and then be safe enough to go home, that had a ride home. And I have no regrets. Like, I had a lot of fun. I wasn't there to date anybody, wasn't there to meet anybody at the bar. I was just there to get drunk and have fun, and we had a blast. Those nights are some of my best memories with my mom, as far as just so I don't judge anybody. If you go out with your parents, and that is a cool connection to have with your family or your parents, where they treat you as an adult. You're not no longer a kid, and that was a cool thing with my mom and I. So I'm sure you kind of had the same experiences. Just they were more of a friend than a parent.
Well, so being in Okinawa, those are like my party days, if you will. We go out on the weekends, we drink, and we go sing karaoke and whatnot. So coming back to the States, that's kind of what I was still looking for, because, like, I didn't have any other way to, like, decompress, Like, I get out, and now all of a sudden I have to find a job, and I got to find a place to live, and I got to do this, and this, and this, and this to get set up in real life, because my contract date changed, Like, I was planning to get out the following year, this year. But when I got my contract, the extension on it canceled, I was like, flipped the switch, and all of a sudden I was getting out in a few months. So I didn't have a lot of time to plan for, those events that were coming up. So anyway, I'm going out to the bar with my mom, and Krista comes sometimes, and, we'll sing and drink a little bit and have a good time, and I wouldn't drive back here, because I didn't want to drive after I've been drinking, and so I go and I'd stay the night, at their apartment. I'd sleep on the couch. But so as time went on, me and Krista have been hanging out more, and we're getting used to each other. She broke up with her boyfriend, and so we started talking more seriously, like in a relationship sense. And next thing you know, like, she decides at one point, like, do you want to try dating? And I was like, heck yeah, let's let's try it. And then
all you can do is try. That's one thing. I mean, past relationships are in the past for a reason, but you won't have relationships at all if you don't at least get out there and at least attempt to have a relationship with somebody.
And I mean, nowadays it's like, you know, with me and her, I mean, we're like two peas in the pod. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we hang out, and you know, we're like friends, but we're also, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend.
It just fits.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying with Gabby and I. It just fits. Everything blends together. You realize that you can be happy on your own, but also with someone else. Doing things you both enjoy, but also doing things you both don't enjoy. You know, there's several hobbies that I have that she's not into, and she has hobbies that I'm not into.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's got her friend group, I've got my friend group. And there's nights when we're just like, well, we're going to hang out here. And then the other one kind of makes sure when they go out, the other person is prepared for it. We don't do things instantly.
Yeah.
So, like, we make plans, and if we don't have plans, then we expect the other person to be home and spend time together. So everything works together with that person, and you realize that it's not a normal relationship. It's not, this isn't something I've experienced in the past, you know? And that was just one experience after the other with us, because within 3 weeks, we were on a cruise together.
Yeah.
You know, it was...
Stuck out on the ocean.
Yeah, and we were told we were crazy, and my family was so shocked, but they were happy for me. But at the same time, they're like, oh, you're going to Mexico, like on a cruise ship with these people? And by these people, she means not just Gabby and I were going on the cruise, but her parents went too. So not only was I learning Gabby, but I was also learning her entire family.
Yeah.
Like her sister and brother-in-law went, and then her mom and stepdad. Am I forgetting someone else? I feel like I'm forgetting other people. Maybe I'm not.
I think you're not, because I've only ever heard from that story. It was just
Right.
those four, and then you.
I think they had friends there too on the cruise, or her parents did. But anyway, so I had to learn them as well, and they're all great people. And that was a big thing for both of us. Was we both had issues with families in the past.
Yeah.
So right away, both of us knew if we didn't enjoy the company of their families, it wasn't going to work. And both of us fell in love with each other's families. We're both very happy and fortunate to have families on both sides that support us. And that is something that is almost irreplaceable, as far as like if you're in a relationship and their family don't condone it and they don't support you guys through what you guys end up doing, it just builds this tension, because you have that bloodline where they want to be with you, but they have this tension from the family saying, no, he's not the right one, or no, she has some issues with her family. So like you have these tensions on both sides, and that person wants to defend their family, which is completely understandable, because your family's been there all your life. So they're in this like battle between what I want but what my family wants, and you don't want that. And so with this, it was like the cruise went perfectly. Everybody said it was either going to be make or break it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we did get into an argument on the boat, but it's like we had to work it out because we have one room to stay in. I mean, it was middle of the week. So, like, we had a great time up until this point, and then I said something that I shouldn't have said, naturally. And then...
as a man does.
Yeah. And I put my foot in my mouth, which she took it a certain way, which is understandable. But then after context, we realized, we agreed, we understood both sides of the situation. We worked through it. And after that, we had a perfect week after that. So you have fights, but you have to work through it together. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be fights. And I think that's something that people don't realize is like, well, I'm just so mad at him, or I'm so mad at her, and then they just give up on a relationship. You can't do that. You've got to work through it. You've got to understand both sides of the view of how they see things.
They think.
Yeah, because you're going to have different personalities.
Well, and that was a big thing for me and Krista. Was like, so in the beginning, there's a lot of rocky things, because for me, you know, like I'm an introvert, you know, and then she's an extrovert. So she loves being around people and having bunches of people over and friends and hanging out with a bunch of people. And I'm the opposite. Like me and you hanging out, you know, it's just me and you.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody else really around. You know, if there is, it's maybe one other person or something.
Which is so weird to me, though. I hate to cut you off, but like it's weird to me because like during the airsoft time, you were the leader, so you wanted the people to come together and play. But so it's.
Well, and I think what it is I like to have it on my terms, because like I don't like meeting new people when I'm not prepared for it.
Right.
So like she would make plans and be like, hey, we're gonna go hang out with these two people, and it was like, okay, you know, all right, we're gonna go hang out with these two people. Next thing you know, there's a huge group of people, and it's like I'm not prepared for that.
You're ready for two.
Know, yeah, and I have a hard time socially like interacting with multiple people at the same time, you know.
Or you're learning those people.
Yeah, and if they're brand new, like I don't know if I'm gonna like this person. If they come off like, you know, like I'm not gonna like them, I'm not gonna talk to them, and then they seem weird, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a hard thing for her to understand. Is like, I don't want to be around your friends, like a bunch of them at, at one time that
you
I've
want
never
to
met before.
take it slow.
Yeah. And so I had to explain that out to her, and she's like, okay, I'm not,
Which, I guess that's with any relationship, because I remember when we first started dating and hanging out, she'd be like, oh, my friend so-and-so, or my friend so-and-so, and I'm like, trying to remember these names, and I don't have faces to put with them, and so, like, then we see one of them for the first time, and she's like, this is my best friend. I'm like, okay, great, now I've got a face with a name, and then you start to learn their personalities, and like you said, if you like that person or not, but when you get thrown 4 or 5 at once, it's like, you're almost scatterbrained. And we had some instances, not issues, but instances like that where it's like, I need a moment to process who I just met before I just get thrown 4 more people I need to know. And which with me, that's not an issue. You were in Japan at the time, and that was the only friend I had ever mentioned, honestly. So like I mentioned my brother and his girlfriend and my family, and that was it. And then I mentioned you, but there was no face with the personality that I was explaining how we did things growing up. Because you weren't here, so we had no issues on my side as far as meeting friends and family, because I don't have that much to show.
Right? Yeah, same. What was I gonna say something about. Dang,
you just zoned out.
Well, no, because there was something I wanted to say, but I wanted to let you finish, and then I forgot.
This is why we cut each other off. Because if we don't say it then, you for sure, you're definitely the one.
Well, I have the worst memory in the world.
Yeah. Well, at that point, then I'm kind of like at a zone distance too. I'm like, well, where do I start off?
Well, dang. I guess I can jump into her family. So I love Krista's family. And I'm pretty sure they're like me at the very least. But I'll tell you the first time I met her parents. So Krista's like, hey, you want to come home with me, meet my family? We're going to go to a UK football game. And I was like, well, that sounds like, a pretty good time. However, it's supposed to rain the entire time we would be at the football game. Now, I've explained to her multiple times, I don't like the rain. And over years of being in the military and being rained on, in the cold and in the wind, I don't like it. All right,
because you're fragile.
I'm tired of it. Well, I'm skinny. Yeah. I don't hold my body heat very well. So, but she's like, no, we gotta go. I want to go. And so I'm standing out there in the rain with just like this little poncho on, just freezing to death and getting soaked. But halftime comes around, and her parents have like season tickets to the UK game, so they're down there on the the grass or near the grass, watching the game. So I didn't get to meet them, but we go down and we meet up at like where you eat coffee or hot chocolate or whatever. So we're standing there, and I meet him for the first time. We're talking back and forth, and it's our turn to go order. And so we order like 2 hot chocolates and 2 coffees, because her dad doesn't drink coffee and her mom always does. So I drink coffee and her mom drank coffee, and then vice versa,
Yeah.
But what I did was I tried to pull a little sneak, I pulled my card out and I, tried to give it to the guy before, her dad noticed. And her dad was like, no, I'm paying for it right now. It
was like that macho man.
He goes, young man, give him his card back. And I was like, oh, all right.
You weren't prepared for the fight, I guess, in a way. Like, oh, I'm going to do this and show off. And
I'm going to be like, no. I got money. I can pay for my own stuff and y'all's stuff. And that was not how it was going to go, apparently. But, it was just like a funny little thing for the first time meeting them.
I'm sure he respected that more than you realize, as far as like just first off appearances. If you're willing to pay for her family's stuff and her, then you support them and you support her.
Well, yeah, it was like, I just don't want to set off the impression that
you weren't expecting to. Like, you were fully fledged, ready to do it.
Like I'm not going to mooch off anybody. All right, I make my own way, and that's how I've always done it. So
and like I said, probably the respect that showed to him was probably any other way possible. That was the way to do it. Just something small but meaningful.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been good times.
Yeah, I think both of us agree that it just hits. It's you build up to that moment and you have those past issues and relationships, but then like as soon as it starts, you're just happy, and it's unexplainable. And I hope everybody has experiences like I've had, as far as in a relationship with their girlfriend, fiance, wife. She would be my wife at this point in time without the COVID stuff happening.
If COVID didn't come in and ruin it all.
We had to postpone the wedding. And we're okay with that because time is time. So we're happy whether we're married or not. Yeah, it was devastating to both of us to have to wait. Just for the safety of everyone else that was to come. Yeah, we could have gotten married, just us, but we want both families to experience that happiness too. Mm-hmm. And my family has been wanting this for me since I've become an adult. They wanted me happy with somebody that treated me right. Mm-hmm. And so for it to get postponed, it was desperate. It
had to be crushing.
It was crushing to both families. The money and time. As I'm recording this, she is calling. But it was okay for both of us because we knew our love would last. We knew that waiting and time meant nothing as long as we both were happy with each other. And so if we had to wait until October 24th to get married now, so be it. We're going to continue being happy and living our life just as we have been this entire time.
Well, I definitely noticed it, and I noticed, even while I was over in Okinawa, the change that she had in you, that she made in you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like she made you,
everybody realized
feel better person,
It does create something in you that you didn't realize you had when you're in a happy relationship. And one instance that I remember specifically is my brother's girlfriend, Tiffany. She mentioned one time, I don't know if it was a get-together here at the house with Gabby or something, and they went outside to cook or something. Hunter and Gabby was outside. Tiffany come in to use the bathroom or something, and she's like, "You seem so happy." She's like, "I've never seen you this way before." Mm-hmm. And we have not talked a lot. She's my brother's girlfriend and also the mother to my nephew, but we hadn't really had a lot of moments where we just talked to each other without the other person near. And it meant a lot to hear that from somebody from the outside. She's not from our family that knows the situations that I was going through. And for her to say something like that, I remember it to this day. It just meant a lot to realize that I have changed for the better. And a lot of it is thankful to Gabby and the love that her and her family have showed me and my family. Because, the cruise and stuff, there was issues brought up as far as, I used to self-harm. I didn't think I'd mention it in this video, but I did self-harm, and they noticed the cuts. We were swimming on the pool and whatnot, so they're hidden at the time. But when we went swimming, she's like, "You can take your shirt off, they won't care." Well, her mom's a nurse, so she instantly knew what it was. And I didn't want to bring it up that way, but there's really no good way to bring it up.
Yeah.
And her mom just said, as long as he's okay now, that's what matters. Mm-hmm. And I was. So it was like demons of the past that I had to carry with me. And anybody that self-harms knows what I mean as far as, you take your shirt off and you don't think about it because you've moved on and bettered yourself from it.
Yeah.
But somebody sees it for the first time, they're like, oh, they didn't know. Mm-hmm. It's just like anything. They kind of criticize you and judge you off of your appearance right away. But that didn't happen with them. They understood. They realized I went through things and I'd better myself for it. And I was happy at the time when I went. So to hear that from Tiffany, back to what I was saying, is just to get kind of a clarification to know that I changed. I was better, and I was happy finally. Between the relationship and myself, I was finally where I wanted to be in life, mentally. And I hope everybody gets to that point. I hope that everybody can get that happiness and make it through the times that they're getting through. Everybody struggles with something. Mm-hmm. So if you're struggling with some kind of depression or self-harming or anything, get through it the way you can get through it. Don't take advice and think that's the way you need to do it. Do it the way you get through it. And I promise you, if you do get through it, that it will be worth it in the end.
That does not mean, however, that you need to do it alone.
Right.
Obviously, even from thousands of miles away, I was there for you. If you needed me, I would have, dropped a leave request, and been on my way here.
And my family was too. And they did play a big role in keeping me here as far as just not going over the edge. Mm-hmm. And you do need people there with you. You need to talk to somebody.
You need support network.
You need support. You may not need legal help or like a
mental hospital.
Right, but you need somebody there for you that is going to support you through getting through it, and that will make a difference. Mm-hmm.
So I do want to put in a disclaimer here. So anytime I mention my mother, or my mom for the most part, I'm talking about my stepmom. I haven't referred to that much in the past episodes as like differentiating that. So I want to make a clarification. If I'm talking about my mom, I'm most of the time talking about my stepmom, except for in the first episode when I referenced my biological mother.
Right.
But I just want to throw that in there because there might be some confusion in the story.
You confused me personally. Like, when we first met, you're like, oh, this is my mom. And I was like, I don't remember that being his mother. Like, even in high school, I was like, I don't remember that. And then my mom, when I got home, she was like, that's his stepmom. I was like, oh, okay, this makes more sense now. Because I was, like, so confused because, like, younger me was thinking, I thought they got divorced. I thought they got separated, you know, and he moved away or whatever. And I'm thinking in my mind, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, nothing's adding up here.
And then, my mom just clicked the final thing. She's like, yeah, that's his stepmom. I'm like, oh, duh, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I just want to throw that in there.
But you can have multiple mother figures, like blood doesn't make you a mother figure to somebody. My stepmom's wonderful now, and she treats me as an adult because she came into my life after being an adult. Mm-hmm. So, it's not like a mother figure, but she's good to my dad, and she's good for my dad, and I'm happy for him. Mm-hmm. So I don't look at it as she's a good person. So your mother figures or whatever, my grandmother is a big mother figure to me. Yes, she's technically my grandmother, but she's a huge woman figure in my life that I respect and value. And just kind of building off what you said as far as they don't have to be your mom or whatever.
Yeah, they don't have to be blood. And that's a big thing that we're about is, we don't see each other as best friends. We see each other as like family. Like because
there's been good times and bad times. I think I mentioned it in one of them. It's like we fought during high school a lot over stupid stuff, just as brothers would do. So blood doesn't make you family for sure. It's about the characteristics and the actions of the person that make you the relationship you have with that person.
Yeah, I mean the bond you share with another human being is just as strong, if not stronger, than just bloodlines. Like for instance, there's a lot of my family that I just don't talk to. Like, I don't care to. A lot of people will, like, say, oh, that's my cousin. I love my cousin. I hang out with all my cousins and all my extended family and all this and that. And it's like, I don't talk to many of them at all, I
don't have that.
I have, like, immediate family, and then I have you.
Yeah. And my family's kind of different because we just don't have that large of a family. Some families just are not large families, and we have a small group. And we all stick together. If somebody's in the hospital, if somebody has an issue, they're all there for them. We do have family in Tennessee that is close. And when something happens, we're there for each other. But it's not like I go on and on about them. They're there when they need to be. They're not on top of you. They support you, but they're from a distance.
Yeah, exactly. That's how mine is.
And that's pretty much relationships in a nutshell. Is they don't have to be blood to be somebody that means something to you. And every husband and wife is two strangers coming together and forming a family, and making something out of nothing. And it's a beautiful thing. It's also a dangerous thing. I think, there's pros and cons to everything. I would not change a thing about my life right now. Like, I'm so happy with my relationship and my life in general as far as myself. And I wake up every day thankful that I got through the bad times to get to the good times. And I think a lot of people just don't see those good times in the future and that are going through bad times. I know myself, like, I'd wake up and be like, what bad is going to happen today? I didn't look at what good could come out of a day. And now it's like, I have bad moments, but those good moments keep me going. Even if they're not happening that day, I know eventually something.
Good moment. And that's the thing, like, everybody, you'll focus on the bad. It's our natural human instinct to focus on the bad because that's how we learn to, stay away from something, at the very basic level. But the good moments will always shine on, like, while I was in the military, you focus a lot on the bad, like the crappy parts of it and hating, oh, I gotta go do this other thing and it's so stupid that I gotta do it, and you just complain the whole time. But then looking back on the military, I don't think of many bad times. I think of a lot of the memories that I shared with the friends and the family that I made there.
I think you realize it was worth it. Like, the bad times were worth the good memories.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I think I mentioned it in the third part, but if not, I used to have 100 good things happen in one day. And building off what you said, one bad thing, as a human, you focus on that one bad thing. I could have the best day ever, and one thing happened, maybe not even a big deal, but it switches my mentality, and then I dread that one thing instead of thinking of the other 100 things that I had go well that day. And like you said, as humans, you focus on the negative, and it's something that I wish people didn't. If you could focus on the positives of situations instead of the negatives, I think the world in itself would be a better place as far as just, build off those positive moments, focus on those positive moments. You're going to have bad moments for good moments. There wouldn't be good moments if you didn't have bad moments.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what was a good moment if you didn't realize the bad times.
Yeah.
So, I think we were shooting for 45 minutes to an hour now. We were talking a little bit more in the other ones, but I think we want to shoot for that 45-hour mark. And I think we did really well with that today as far as just touching what we wanted to touch on, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. We don't want to linger too long on a subject, but we could dive into a subject.
If you want to continue, if you want this conversation to continue, you can comment in the video, or you can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is Bake & Decker Pod. It's bake_and_decker_pod. And you can comment on there, send me messages on there, and I'll get back to you. Or and then if you want us to continue, we can continue on another episode. We're all about hearing your feedback, hearing about your personal stories.
Yeah.
And if we can help anybody, through a rough time in their life, please let us know.
Don't look at it as a podcast. Look at it as two people that are here for you as friends. If you, like you said, if you're struggling with something, message us. Don't think of it as, I watched your video. Think of it as,
I spent some time with you.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing. You're spending time with us.
If you're taking an hour of your day to listen to us talk, that means so much to us. And so we want to return the favor by, if you're going through something bad or even good, we'd love to hear good experiences too, like something good going in your life. If things are going good, share those moments too. That's what we're talking about. Instead of just talking about the bad moments you've had in your life, talk about the good times. And we're always up to hear it between YouTube or, like you mentioned, Instagram. You would get a hold of one of us, and if you wanted to get a hold of the other one in person, we could give you the way to reach the other person if you want to talk about certain situations with one of us. It's just this has turned into something great, I feel like, as far as podcast wise. It's not necessarily your traditional podcast, but it's just two guys hanging out that have experiences and want to hear your experiences, that listen to us. So I think this has become a weekly thing. So every Saturday, at this point, 5 p.m. Central Time, there will be a podcast about something. So it's
we'll let you know at the beginning of the episode what it's going to be about.
Yeah,
you can probably tell from the title, but that's what we're shooting for. We're going for now that we've concluded our Story Bus series, we want to shoot for a more trimmed down style where we kind of cover the wave tops, talk a little bit about stuff that's happened in our life and that maybe it's happening in your life too, and just kind of be friends.
Yeah. A friendship should be made in this, as far as us with y'all. If you, like I said, if you take the time to watch it, that to me is a friendship, and valuable time that you're using to share with us, and that means a lot to me personally, for sure. And I'm probably speaking for both of us that it means a lot to us that you take the time to listen. So I'm not going to keep rambling on about that.
So next week, same time, we'll catch you.
And that's it. We'll see you guys next week.